Welcome to rainy Calico Rock, Arkansas. And Calico Rock is a town of a little under 900, and it boasts it says the only ghost town that's within a town. So we're going to visit the historic East Calico, which is just down the street here from Calico. Here is the main street of Calico Rock. It's a pretty cool little town. Could be a small town USA video, but that's not what we're going to be exploring today. We're going to go down this way and check out historic East Calico. This is not the ghost town yet, but right before you get there, you got this building. Pretty cool. So the town, once again, is back that way, and the ghost town is across that bridge up there. First thing we do is we are greeted by some information about East Calico and the history. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it as we're going along. A little difficult as it's raining. The first building on our left here is a jail. Let's go in there and check it out. Interesting toilet. I don't know if East Calico is actually the only town that has a ghost town within it, but I've not seen one like this before, so I will believe it until I'm proven otherwise. A little bit of the history of what happened here. How does that happen? How does a part of town become a ghost town? This part of Calico Rock became a real important kind of rail and river town right here, this part. And so I'm assuming this was all just Calico Rock, or it was all part of the town, and this part of town was, maybe not its own separate town, but it was its own section of town, if that makes sense, from what I'm gathering from reading. And because this became, as it grew, this was probably the biggest part of the town, or the busiest, the most important part economically. But with the growing part of that, it became kind of a wild place. And this became where there were fights and gunfights and shootings and stabbings and just all kinds of trouble. You saw on the sign it said Pepper Sauce Ghost Town, and pepper sauce was another name for moonshine. And there were people that were bootlegging moonshine here in the alley, right here basically. And I think that probably spurred on a lot of the rowdy behavior in this part of Calico Rock. And so another reason it became a ghost town, or this part of town became abandoned, was because fires and floods here by the river, and as people rebuilt, they kind of built on higher land so they wouldn't be flooded. And so that made these parts more abandoned and look and feel like a real ghost town. In 2007, a group organized an effort to kind of revitalize this area. And what I mean by that is to kind of make it an official little tourist attraction, to give a little history so people can come by and check it out. So I'm really glad they did. This is great from what I've seen so far. We're gonna walk around. With it being so rainy and wet today, I can't fly the drone. So unfortunately, I can't give you that perspective shot. Maybe I'll try to give you a little bit of a map view or a Google Earth view. But we'll walk around the street. There's not a lot of streets. There's about 20 buildings. And so let's walk around East Calico and check out where the rowdy parts of the town used to be. I read up to 20 people would fit in here, or they would have up to 20 people. I don't know how well they fit. Could you imagine 20 people in that jail? Probably most of them causing trouble. That'd be some wild nights.
This is the Killian Feed Store. It was built in 1948 by Frank and Arthur Killian, and it housed fertilizer and veterinary supplies, different things like that. It flooded in 1982. There was the big Calico Creek flood, and the water was high as 9 feet inside the building. Eventually, they closed the store in 1992. This stone building was built in the 1920s. The downstairs part was a pool hall and a beer joint, and fights would break out and they would fall out into the streets right here. The county actually became a dry county in 1943, and the owner allegedly sold moonshine out of the back room. In the 1940s, it became a grocery store, and in the 1970s, it became apartments, and then closed after, once again, the flood of 1982. This was a barbershop and beauty parlor built in 1924. It was a family business, and a husband and wife and a daughter all did business here. This was the Ozark Theater, opened in the 1930s. The owner would drive around town announcing the night's movie through a loudspeaker. It caught fire in 1954 and destroyed the building. Before the county went dry in 1943, this was a tavern. And then in the 50s and 60s, it became White River Distributors, where they sold gasoline and other fuels to the locals.
Pretty good sense of humor around here as well. Mortuary. This feels like it was probably about the hub of activity right through this area, with the bridge and the river right there. A lot of the businesses, some of the buildings no longer stand here, but this feels like it was probably right where all the action was happening. A lot of wild and exciting times here in Calico Rock. Let's see if there's anything else over here. And if you're wondering, yes, my feet are wet. But a good ghost town hunter always brings extra socks and shoes. Oh, there's the railroad. That's cool. Don't know what that is, but it's right here close to the railroad. Okay, I just turned right from the railroad tracks, and I see a bridge. Had to have been the old railroad bridge over there. Yep, that's where I just was. Oh, look at that. If you're wondering, it seems and looks super sketchy, this bridge, but it's very sturdy. I mean, it's solid. There is a place you got to jump over down there, but I have a little bit of athleticism left,
Railroad right through there, right through town. Probably stopped right on the other side of the bridge right there. This is definitely one of the cooler ghost towns that you can check out. I think they did a nice job putting some of the information together. Highly recommended to visit East Calico, Arkansas.
It was an important area for, this area. Real river hub.
It's one thing when this is dry, but it takes supreme athleticism when it's wet out here. Don't want to fall down through that. Made it.
Hope I can get out. Yes.